Baseball family, welcome to the Thursday Night Live edition of the Baseball Together podcast. My name is Brad, and I'm going to be flying solo this evening. Brig is traveling today. He's visiting family this week, and those of you who caught the Tuesday episode would have seen him elsewhere. And also, when you catch the Sunday episode, he will have been elsewhere. He is still elsewhere, and so I'm here by myself. Just me tonight. But everything, the show must go on. So here we are. Before we get into anything, there are a few things that I want to talk about tonight. I want to remind you about Chinook Seeds, ChinookSeedery.com. Use code BTPOD at checkout to save 10% off your order. I got an email from Chinook today. They dropped something brand new, and it's a bucket of seeds. 72 sampler packs of Chinook Seeds. You use code BTPOD, you're going to save 10% on that order. You can mix and match, get all. Brig could get 72 Parmesan and pepper if he so chose. If that's what he wanted to get, he'd get a bucket of Parm and Pep, and he would just be the happiest man alive. And if he used BT Pod, he could save 10% on his order. You can too. Go get the best seeds ever at ChinookSeedery.com. Okay, let's get into some stuff. First things first, the Blue Jays took it to the Rockies this week. Oh, man alive. It was not pretty. Well, I guess it depends on which side of the ball you were on. If you're the Rockies, you're a Rockies fan, not pretty. If you're a Blue Jays fan or play for the Blue Jays, it was quite pretty, I'm sure. 3-game sweep. It was more than just a sweep, though. It was an absolute massacre. It was so ugly. The Blue Jays outscored the Rockies 45-6 over their 3 games. The 45 runs is a franchise record in a 3-game series. They beat them 15-1, 10-4. That's the closest one. And then 20-1. My mom actually sent me a screenshot of the 20-1. I was kind of paying attention to what was going on in that game. She sent me a screenshot, and she said games against the Rockies should just be buys that count as wins. And I don't think she's wrong. At this point, why make them even play the games? I know they're going to win a couple here and there, but I just don't know how many the rest of the way because it just gets worse and worse as we go. Granted, yes, I think it was the Pirates last week who they came back and beat after being down, if I'm remembering right. So that was neat, but that's the Pirates. They're not good either. The Over the course of the series, the Blue Jays knocked around 63 hits. That is an MLB record as of now. They finished Wednesday's game alone with 24 hits, including 5 home runs. 5 home runs on 20 runs is not really that much. But still, if you're giving up 24 hits, that's a lot. Something on the Blue Jays real quick. They're 26-11 since June 25th. Look out. They are one of the best teams in baseball. And it's going to be troublesome for somebody along the way. Briggs Yankees are feeling the effect of that, and they've been victims of that, right? Along the way, when the Blue Jays were taking it to everybody and starting this tear. They have the best record in the American League. They're 68-48 coming into Thursday, and they've got what's that? They've got 2 games up on the Tigers, and 4.5 on the Astros, which means 6 on Seattle. So, yeah, best team in the American League right now. This team could be trending upward at the right time. Crescendoing, just hope for their sake, or maybe I do hope for their sake as a fan of a fellow American League team, that maybe they do peak too early and get bounced. But either way, life is good as a Blue Jays fan right now, and good on you. Here is your periodic just how bad are the Rockies update. Coming into Thursday, they're 30-84. That's a .263 winning percentage, which is on pace for 42 and 120. So they got that going for them, which is nice, right? That's a better pace last year than the White Sox by 1 game. Just 1. We'll see how it goes the rest of the way. I wanted to see who they have to see if they're going to end up beating the White Sox dubious record from last year. They have the Diamondbacks twice, the Cards, Dodgers, the Dodgers twice, Pirates, Astros, Cubs, Giants twice, Padres twice, So all their division opponents twice, plus they have the Marlins, Angels, and Mariners. So we'll see. If they catch some of those teams while they're hot, then they could end up getting swept several times, and things could end poorly. That White Sox record will only stand for a year. So we'll see how it goes. But good on the Blue Jays for taking care of business. This is one of the things that I always want to see from good teams is what are you doing to the bad teams, right? Like there's a decisive win and then there's dismantling. The Blue Jays dismantled the Rockies, and that's what the best team in the American League should be doing to the worst team in baseball. And good on them, right? Like you don't want to see like it's nice to see your team when they're playing well, like go beat the Dodgers, go beat the Blue Jays, go beat the Tigers when they were the best team, when they had the best record, at least in the American League, right? When they're the best team, you want to see them go beat them. That's great, but are they beating the teams they're supposed to be, and are they beating them big? Exhibit A. There's the Blue Jays. They sure are. Okay. Next thing we have the first woman umpire set to make her MLB debut this weekend. Jen Pawol. She's going to debut during the Marlins Braves series in Atlanta. Saturday's doubleheader requires this is why, because she's one of the several eligible umpires to come in as a replacement. Saturday's doubleheader requires a fifth umpire because the home plate umpire doesn't work the other game. So say if umpire A is behind the plate for game 1, will not umpire game 2, and therefore umpire B, who is behind the plate for game 2, will not umpire game 1. So they need a fifth umpire in the rotation. She is going to be there for that. She'll also be behind the plate for Sunday's game. A little bit, which I think is cool. This is going to be really awesome. It's going to be really exciting to see how this goes. A little bit of background on Jen Powell. She started as an umpire in rookie ball in 2016. That's when I was in rookie ball as an intern, not an employee, or not a player. Just for the record, she reached AAA in 2023. She's the first woman at the AAA level in 34 years when she got there. In 2024, she's the first woman to umpire a spring training game since 2007, and she did more spring games this year as well. She was a catcher for the Hofstra University softball team. She also played at the Amateur Softball Association major fast pitch level for 10 years. So I think this is cool. I think this is really cool that we have somebody who was a catcher is going to be a home plate umpire in a game on Sunday. And like a high level. She played at a high level, so it'll be cool. One of the things I've noticed that we've seen this year, we saw it in spring training, we saw it in the All-Star game when they were doing the ABS challenge system. Catchers have a really good command of the zone. Cal Raleigh, for my Mariners, was perfect during spring training with challenges. He did not miss a single challenge. And so she has a strong understanding of the zone as somebody who was a catcher. So I'm going to check her umpire scorecard Monday morning when it comes out to see how she did on Sunday, because I'm really curious. Not only as a rookie umpire, but as somebody who was a catcher. I myself as a catcher, so this interests me. I'm very curious to see how it goes. Okay. We talked a little bit about the Speedway Classic on this week's Tuesday episode, right? But I want to talk a little bit more about that. They're calling it MLB Firefest because Brig mentioned, I didn't know this until the other day, but they ran out of food before even the first pitch was thrown, right? Like, what are you doing? Let's figure this out. So while this is going on, the NFL sold the NFL Network to ESPN for lots and lots of American dollars. ESPN bought NFL Network and Red Zone and will merge NFL Fantasy Football with ESPN's iteration of Fantasy Football. So they're controlling all of the media side of the NFL, ESPN is. With this, the NFL will maintain 10% equity in the network, in all this other stuff. So basically what's going on here is the NFL is going to be printing money for the foreseeable future. I don't know how long the deal is. I read something that said, admittedly, it's very complicated, lots of levers and knobs to go along with this. And so we don't know all the gory details, but these are the basics. And one thing that's really cool about this is that ESPN's launching a streaming app that you can get access to without a cable or satellite provider for $30 a month. That's a screaming deal. Like for me, the only reason I want I want cable or satellite is so I can watch sports. That's the one thing that I want from my cable or satellite provider. If I could just get all the sports channels and nothing else, I think we would probably have it rather than streaming what we do. Okay? This is a great deal. I'm not sitting here trying to peddle ESPN stuff because I have my own opinions about some of the stuff ESPN does, but that's a really good deal. Now this is compared to blackouts. MLB's weird blackouts at that. We get messages from people all the time on YouTube and social media who are like, "I live in Kansas and I can't watch, I don't know, like the Brewers because they're blacked out or something like that, right? Like these blackouts make no sense. And Hawaii, I think, can't watch the Dodgers, Padres, Angels, Giants, or D-backs. Like they can't watch any of the NL West, and then some, or something like that. It's wild with these blackouts. And here the NFL is like, let's make it more accessible. Let's make things easier to watch, and it's ridiculous. So here we have the NFL, a truly nationwide sport, right? Like I I went to I say that I go to the game every year when the Seahawks come to town to beat the Cardinals. A couple years ago, I went. I was standing in line waiting for a hot dog or something, whatever we were getting for food. There's a guy standing next to me wearing a Panthers jersey. We both knew, and I was wearing my Seahawks stuff. We both knew exactly what was going on with each other's teams because the NFL makes it easy to follow everybody because nationally broadcast games, and there's lots of them, right? Lots. There's a handful every week, but they're accessible. You can get to them easily, right? Meanwhile, baseball fans only generally want to watch their team or division rivals, maybe, because those are things they care about. Like, this is the regionalization of baseball thanks to regional sports networks. That's just the way it goes. And I understand 162 games a year across 32 teams, sorry, 30 teams, that's a lot. That is a lot to be able to put on national TV. But it feels like there was more. It used to be more accessible for national TV. I remember as a kid, I lived in uh, I lived in a market for a while that didn't really have a major league. Didn't We didn't have an RSN for a major league team, and so the only time I got to watch baseball was nationally broadcast games. I felt like I got baseball almost every single night. This was growing up in the '90s, I know, but we don't have that anymore. Brig says that he talks to people who about this show who are like, if you talked about the Braves, I'd listen because Brig lives in Braves country. They say if you only talked about the Braves, I'd listen. I don't care about the rest of the league. Football fans care about the rest of the league because of the accessibility. It doesn't matter who's playing on Thursday night, Sunday during the day, Sunday night, or Monday night. Football fans are going to watch. I don't feel like baseball fans have that same relationship with the sport because of the regionalization of broadcast rights. And this is only going to continue to grow that gap. The NFL is making itself more accessible by selling the rights to NFL Network to ESPN and ESPN's app and everything that's coming with it. NFL is they're transcending sports media with this. This is a massive deal, and it's not really a very good thing for baseball, I don't think. Um, if you look at the scoreboard, the NFL continues to rack up points with its fans, while MLB continues to fail to reach its fans, and it's getting to be a problem. Getting to be a problem. I know attendance is up this year. I know things along those lines are going well, but I don't know about viewership. It troubles me with the way, and it's mostly the accessibility. I know Major League Baseball says they're working on the blackouts, but working a little bit faster, fellas, because we need a solution to be able to watch more games and for fans to be able to put money in Major League Baseball's pocket. We had a guest a while ago, a couple years ago, said, "I'm trying to put money in Rob Manfred's pocket, and he won't let me because it's blocked out. It's blacked out games." So not a good situation there while the NFL continues to get better. Okay, let's look at the standings real quick. Let's take a quick peek before we move on to the national TV schedule for this weekend, speaking of which. AL East, I talked about the Blue Jays sitting on top. They're 4 games up on the Red Sox, who are, by the way, in second place. Don't look now, Yankee fans. You're in third place, 6.5 back of the Blue Jays. It's getting late out there. You might want to start really thinking about that wild card. And by the way, Yankee fans, right now with the wild card, you're sitting even. You hold the line with Cleveland's baseball club and the Rangers just a game and a half back. I had Cleveland dead and buried 2-3 weeks ago, and here they are a game and a half out. Good on them. Good on them. Let's go to the Central real quick. Of course, the Tigers are sitting on top, but with their struggles, Cleveland's just sitting 6 games back. That's a lot. I don't think they're going to catch them, but it's a lot closer than I thought it was going to be back in even June. The Royals they're 8.5 back. They're 57 and 58, and they're 4 back on the wild card. Too many teams to overcome, I think. I don't think they can overcome Cleveland and Texas, and the Yankees, or the Mariners, or the Red Sox. I think there's too much to overcome. I think that this is really a 5-team race here in the wild card. We got the Red Sox, Mariners, Yankees, Cleveland, and Texas. I think that's what we're looking at for the wild card in the American League. The AL West is a whole lot tighter than I think Houston fans want it to be. Houston is 64 and 51. Seattle, after sweeping the White Sox this afternoon, which they should, 63 and 53, just a game and a half out, up a game and a half in the wild card. So it's real tight in the AL West. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, Rangers 4.5 back of the division. I think that's a bit much between these two teams, but only a game and a half out of the wild card, so look out. Let's look over at the National League. The East, the Phillies have gotten themselves a little bit of a cushion. They're 2.5 up on the Mets, and the Mets are holding the line in the wild card. I don't think that's where you want to be, Mets fans. That's after losing 4 in a row and 2 and 8 in your last 10. It's a bad stretch. I think you'll be okay. Go to the Central. You got the Brewers, who have the best record in the National League. Didn't see that coming, but maybe we should have. I don't know. Got 4-game cushion on the Cubs. The Cubs, who, by the way, they're 3.5 up in the wild card. The Dodgers are on top in the NL West, but it's a much slimmer margin, I think, than Dodgers fans ever thought or wanted it to be. They're only up on the Padres by 2. That's after the Dodgers have gone 5 and 5 in their last 10. The Padres 8 and 2 in their last 10. Padres are going to make this a lot more interesting than anybody thought coming in this season. Brig and I talked at the beginning of the year. We talked a couple weeks ago about how there was talk about how if the Dodgers could win 120 games, if they don't win 105, then it's a bust. They're not going to win 100. They're not going to win 100 games. There's no way, unless they just rip September to shreds, which I doubt. I guess we still got 2/3 of August left, but I don't think they're going to win enough games to win 100. So, pretty wild out there in the NL West. And then the Giants, they're 8 games out, 5 back in the wild card. I think there's too much for them to overcome, kind of like what the Royals are dealing with. Because you've got, so let's look at the NL wild card real quick. Cubs are 3.5 up, then the Padres are 1 up. But like I said, only 2 back in the division. I think they've got their eye on the division, not on the wild card. That's the same thing that's going on in Seattle. The Mets are holding the line, but again, they've got their eye on the division. It's within reach. They just need to right the ship there a little bit after this bad stretch. And then the next team out is the Reds. They're 3.5 back of the Mets right now. That's gettable, but I think I'm going to go ahead and say that I think those teams in the wild card, in the NL wild card, they're too steady to fall out. They're either going to win the division or they're going to be the wild card. It's almost like the 6 playoff teams are set with the Brewers, Dodgers, Phillies, Cubs, Padres, and Mets. That's your National League playoffs. It's just where teams are going to be, right? That's kind of what that feels like. I don't think the Reds are going to go on enough of a stretch to get in. The Giants certainly won't sit in 5 back. Cards are 5.5 back. They've got to overcome several teams to get there. The Marlins, despite playing pretty decent of late, 6 back, I don't think so. It's just a good stretch. And good for them, swept the Yankees, right? Briggs not here, so we could talk about that. About how the Marlins swept the Yankees. All right, let's look at the national TV broadcast schedule. But before we do that, actually, one more thing I want to remind you about Patreon. If you enjoy the show, if you want to support it directly, you can head to patreon.com, search Baseball Together, or hit the link in the description. We have 5 tiers of support, $1 up to $500. And everybody gets some stickers and t-shirts or hats or whatever based on the tier. And they also get an extra episode. Plus, I made some promises that Brig is going to keep if you so choose to support $500 a month. Go check those out and see if you would like. If not, then keep watching. That's cool. All right, national TV schedule. Friday, MLB TV free game of the day. You've got the Red Sox at the Padres. That's at 9:40 p.m. All these times are Eastern Daylight Time. Apple TV Plus, you got the Reds at the Pirates at 6:40, and then the other game is the Astros at the Yankees at 7:05. I'm intrigued. I'm really curious. Neither of these teams have been great of late. So it's going to be really curious to see who does what, when, and where. Saturday, no MLB TV free games of the day. What are we doing here? I just talked about this. They're not helping themselves. Anyway, nothing on FS1. Fox, though, has its 2 games. At 7:15, based on where you're at, you'll see one of these. Either the Cubs at the Cards or the Phillies at the Rangers. Sunday, your free game of the day is the Blue Jays at the Dodgers. That's at 4:10 p.m. Your Roku game is the Royals at the Twins at 1:05 p.m. And Houston at ESPN, not Houston, ESPN at 7:10 p.m. has the Cubs at the Cards. Now our series to watch, I texted Brig and got his series to watch. These are brought to you by SeatGeek. If we were going to games this weekend, these are the games we would go to. And we use SeatGeek to get our tickets. You can too by heading to SeatGeek.com and using code BASEBALLTOGETHER to save $20 on your first order. That's Baseball Together, one word, at SeatGeek.com to get your tickets to the biggest games this weekend and anytime. NFL's coming up. Preseason has started. Save yourself $20 on those expensive preseason tickets if you want to go. And with the code Baseball Together. SeatGeek, the official ticket marketplace of MLB. All right, series to watch. My series, I've got obviously the Rays at the Mariners. My Mariners are in the thick of this hunt right now for the division, and I need another sweep. I need it. I want it, and I need it. Astros at the Yankees. Yankees, get it right. Sweep the Astros this weekend. Use it to jump off. Whatever you want to do. I don't care. Just sweep the Astros. It needs to happen. I'm curious about the Angels and the Tigers. I want to see if the Tigers can completely pull out of this funk that they've been in, which is super weird. And I've said I think it's one of 2 things. It's either just a funk, or they've played about 162 games of really great, outstanding baseball, and they've hit a wall. And this is it. And this is who the Tigers are the rest of the year. I don't know, because we saw them do a complete 180 in August last year and turn into a complete juggernaut. I just don't know if things have pivoted. It would have been at the All-Star break when things pivoted. So that's probably like 140 games-ish. But anyway. Also, I want to see the Phillies and Rangers. I want to see the Phillies do good things. I also want to see the Rangers lose because they're a division opponent. And I'm curious about the Blue Jays and Dodgers. If the Blue Jays will stick it to the Dodgers like everybody else has been lately, or if the Dodgers, again, going to pull out of this funk that they've been in. And it's injury driven, right? Like it is for a lot of teams. The Astros dealing with a ton of injuries, right? It happens, but the Blue Jays aren't dealing with that right now. Blue Jays are playing best in baseball. Brig also has the Phillies and Rangers. He has the Mets and Brewers. That's a good one. Red Sox and Padres, another one. Also Blue Jays and Dodgers. He says maybe he'll watch the Astros and Yankees. He's not real happy with his Yankees right now, and I get it. Absolutely. All right, the last thing before I get out of here. Today in baseball history, August 7th, 1907, 19-year-old pitcher Walter Johnson gets his first win in what would be a legendary career as the Washington Senators beat the Cleveland Naps 7-2. I could go for a Cleveland nap about now. I don't think it's that kind of nap, though. That's a terrible joke. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to play some music. And baseball family, don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review everywhere that you can. If you're on YouTube, have not liked, have not subscribed, go ahead and do that right now before you head out of here, before I get out of here. And we appreciate you. We appreciate you tuning in. Thank you, Twitch Taylor. I see you there. Thank you for tuning in and supporting the show every way that you do. And with that, baseball family, we will catch you on Sunday with Contenders or Pretenders.